Alright everyone, a few days ago a video was made that appeared to depict a drunken Nancy Pelosi slurring her speech. And this is slightly funny, but there's something deeply disturbing about this, and that I've spoken of in brief before. And that's the concept of deepfake videos and a coming problem. This is going to become a massive problem in the next few years. Right now, well, first I should explain what happened. A video of Nancy Pelosi at a speech was slowed down and edited visually to make it look very much real, to make it look like she had given a press conference in which she was stumbling over her words. She looked and sounded drunk. The video was heavily edited, but it was edited well enough that it was difficult for many people to tell that it was edited. In fact, Giuliani himself tweeted the video out, tweet now removed, because he didn't realize it wasn't real either. The fact that people, high-level, very intelligent officials, people in official capacities, Giuliani being the lawyer to the fucking president of the United States, can be fooled already with existing technology that's widely available into believing that something that's been edited, or context doesn't help either, is actually real and unedited, should scare more people. It should be a national debate right now over the fact that they're developing even better technology for this. They've got technology now. You look at the Star Wars franchise. Remember, they brought back Tarkin and Leia. Leia didn't look as good as Tarkin, honestly, when they brought her back. We're a few years out from the ability to basically take footage of anyone who's appeared on video for any substantial period and make them basically say anything that you want. You've already got the technology existent for the audio side. The video's just a couple years away from full development. It's already being used by movie studios. I'm sure it can be used. Literally what you could do is fake video evidence of anything. Don't you see how this could potentially be a disaster waiting to happen? Let's say that a foreign state, for example, let's say China, decides that a YouTuber is criticizing the Chinese too much. So they decide to manufacture a video of them saying like racist shit or something. Then they put it out there. And they make the claim, hey, this person is a racist. Now, the video's not real. Those things were never said by the person. But a lot of times, I've had experience with this myself. Out of context, if the video, people will just believe it. 99% of the time, they'll just take it for granted. Like, people circulate old video clips of mine endlessly for political reasons. They've been explained. They've been talked about already before. These are old video clips from 6 or 7 years ago. They were deleted because they were dross, basically, or because they no longer represent my views. But if a person doesn't already know of me, the people that you want to join you to become part of your new audience, they will take it for granted that it's real, because there's no context there to prove otherwise. And you can't go around the entire internet trying to explain to every fucking individual that has a problem with you, no, you've got it wrong. It becomes very tedious. At some point you say, fuck it. So once you get deepfakes in the mix, it's possible to get most people to believe basically anything about another person. If it's a foreign state doing it, how do you sue them? How do you sue the nation of China for how do you sue a bunch of hackers for defamation? You're never going to know who fucking posted in the first place. By the time you react, let's say in the middle of the night, somebody makes a video of Stefan Molyneux saying the N-word over and over, and pretends it's a private Skype call. They can deepfake multiple people. They pretend that it's real. Put it on Reddit in the middle of the night. Other than some of his fans seeing it and flipping out or saying, he can't fight back, he's asleep at the time. 5-6 hours later, BuzzFeed's already made a report. 90% of people have already absorbed Stefan Molyneux is a Nazi. Here's a video proving it. Now, a retraction can be issued later. The damage is already done. The problem is correcting the damage afterwards is very, very difficult, because the initial look at Covington, perfect example. There are people who even now believe that the Covington kids walked up to a group of Native Americans, started mocking them because they're Nazis. There are still people that believe that. It doesn't matter if they launch a legal battle over it. There are people who assume that. If they got it from a trusted source, whether a retraction was issued or not, they probably didn't even read the retraction. You wait a couple days, half those people don't give a shit about the story anymore. So this should really scare a lot of, especially people who make video. They should be a little bit frightened by this. Because now they can fundamentally, they're a few years out from this more effectively, they can take footage of you and audio of you, and they can remix and edit it heavily. They can even build basically a 3-dimensional model of you that'll look so real that it's almost impossible to tell that it's fake. They've had similar technology for basically a decade, and it's been getting better over time. It's way more advanced now. We're talking about them mapping a real person, being able to make them say or do basically anything. They can do this to politicians, as they did with Pelosi. They've already demonstrated it. They took a Bush speech, actually, and they sort of showed off what they could do with it, make him say all sorts of weird shit. Not that that's very difficult to do, because it's Bush, but... yeah, this can be used for... no, this won't be used for propaganda. Simply ask yourself, can it be misused? Is there any scenario in which a new technology or a power or a law or whatever can be misused? If the answer is yes, it will be. So this sort of video editing technology should have people more alarmed than they are. I think a lot of people, like on 4chan, they were discussing and sort of joking about it. Oh, well, it seems realistic because you can imagine Pelosi's like fucked up. So you can imagine she'd be drunk at a conference. Or you can imagine she'd give a dementia speech or something. Okay, yeah, that's certainly amusing, but there's a much bigger problem there. The bigger problem being, okay, what if it's not Pelosi? What if it's some content creator you really like, who has half their fans leave because of a leaked video of them saying suggestive things that they didn't actually say? Well, by the time that they get to come out and say it's fake, it could be days later. And even if they do it right away, it doesn't matter, because their fan base is smaller than the legacy media, even if collectively. And I'm just talking about sort of the political side of specifically content creation online, especially in video form, because that's really what we're talking about with this, more or less. So YouTubers may be more vulnerable than some, maybe Instagram star just does pictures or whatever. Although I'm sure that's easier than video, so maybe not. By their collective audience that we sort of feel is massive. It's bigger than CNN and Fox and all these combined, easily. The problem is that for an individual, because we're not really a functioning collective, we're individual content creators, their audience is smaller, even if it's quite large. They can pull in similar ratings to CNN, but the number of people that will engage with their material and help them if they're being defamed by BuzzFeed or whatever is collectively smaller than the legacy media. The other problem is this, and this is not by design. I don't think this is even on purpose, but by default, the way the media works now in the 24-hour instant news cycle, they replicate one another's stories almost instantaneously without fact-checking. So all you need is a situation where a deepfake is passable enough, made by a foreign state, the CIA, the KGB, some disgruntled person that doesn't like you and has a hacker friend. It doesn't really matter. It gets to one media outlet, and within a few hours it's worldwide, if it's juicy enough. Or at the very least on the so-called alternative media, like a Gizmodo or Salon or something. The underbelly of the legacy media. All of a sudden now you have flagging raids and people harassing advertisers and calling up your employer and threatening your family and stuff without you having done fundamentally anything whatsoever. You might not even be aware of it. You might be asleep at the time. You wake up, your phone's blowing up, you're like, what the fuck is going on? Oh, I heard your Skype call, and you're cheating on your spouse or something. Like, yeah, you could ruin a relationship this way. You could cause, potentially, if it's believed by people around that person, you could cause a violent altercation. This is a disaster waiting to happen for a lot of people, and I hear almost nothing about this. I hear people sort of joking about the Pelosi video here. It's like, can you imagine 2 or 3 years ago from now what the technology will be like? It's already a lot smoother editing video. You can still sort of kind of tell, but at first glance, yeah, it looks totally real. Well, pretty soon it'll be at second glance, and then no matter how much you glance at it, it'll look exactly the same as if it was made by you yourself. That's just the way that's going to work. Is going to become a huge problem for content creators, potentially in the future. Now, tech firms should work on ways to prevent that from happening, but they're not very good at foresight. Hindsight is always 20/20. And scarily enough, usually 2 or 3 years is about the timetable that I give on when I make predictions like this that shit hits the fan. Like, when they would start going after the left is like Krasenstein's the other day, or things like that. It'll happen. It'll be unfortunate when it does. And it's possible to forestall it. It's possible to prevent it from happening, but, the tech firms would have to get involved and Congress would have to do something about it, I guess. Or the UN. Well, that would just backfire. Then it would be 10 times worse. Whatever the UN touches turns to shit. That's about all. Peace out.